welcome back everyone to These Aren't the Nerds You're Looking For. This week we are covering Season 3, Episode 2, Supply Lines. This is Kevin Horde here, and with me is...
Lorenzo Fon.
Lorenzo, how you doing tonight?
Good. Are you sure it's Episode 2? I have it as Episode 3 of Season 3.
It is Episode 3. You are correct.
Okay. It's just double-checking.
Season 3, Episode 3.
Season 3, Episode 3.
So it's...
Supply Lines. Yep.
Episode 8.
Aired.
Episode 8 for us. Season 3, Episode 3 for the show. Production code 224. So potentially this could have been in Season 2. Aired on September 24th of 2010.
Yep. Yeah, so we're still in Season 3. We just skipped an episode forward, basically. Yeah.
Yep, we just jumped 2 episodes, so we're getting closer to having some sort of fluid chronology here as far as release episodes, and we actually do get to that point later in later seasons, but we're still kind of jumping all over the place. This was a much smaller jump than we had from last week and the week before that, which was, what did we decide, 44 episodes?
Something like that, you're jumping from the movie in 2008 to Season 3 premiere in 2010, so
right.
Yeah, that's a big jump, both in number of episodes and actual, like, real life time.
Right.
So, yeah. So what's going on in this episode here?
So, we'll start with the fortune cookie for this episode, which says, what's it say? Where there's a will, there's a way.
Yep.
How about that? Speaking of the fortune cookie, one thing I noticed with this one, I had always kind of assumed that these fortune cookies were like little Yoda quotes.
Mm-hmm.
And this one does not sound anything close to something that Yoda would say. Like, it seems pretty generic and earthbound as far as advice goes.
That's interesting. What made you make the connection to attributing these quotes to Yoda?
I don't know. I think that it was simply Yoda being the wise Jedi Master and just having those little bits of info that he disperses in his Yoda-like fashion. But I'm sure that I did not read that somewhere or hear it from somewhere. I think it was just simply, hey, there's these little quotes at the beginning, and this makes sense. Like, that's probably from Yoda. That's a Yoda thing, right?
Yeah, because I've always definitely just read them as a sort of generic quote of the day situation, right? And especially because none of them ever attribute the quotes to anybody specifically. Like, there's never a dash and then who said it, like, of a name or anything, right?
Right.
Yeah, so I've always just taken it as like here's a cute little quote for you.
Yeah, I guess I just always kind of thought that it was, thought it was Yoda, and
yeah,
it's not, I guess. This one definitely isn't. I'll say that.
Yeah, this one for sure. Yeah, because I've always taken it as almost like Clone Wars' version of The Simpsons couch gag, right?
Okay. Where
each intro, as quick as it is, still has a little personalization to it before you get into the newsreel situation, right?
Okay.
So that's how I've always seen it, So a lot of shows tend to do that. Simpsons does it. Futurama did it too, where they swapped out things in the beginning. So
yeah, I'm trying to think.
American Dad.
Of how...
A lot of animation, yeah.
Did you say Futurama? I was totally thinking Family Guy, so never mind. It's been a long time since I've seen some Futurama.
Oh, I love Futurama, so... But anyways, so getting back to Clone Wars hand here.
Getting back to Clone Wars and the newsreel. What do we got going on in the newsreel this week?
So we're on Ryloth.
Yes.
And the Separatists are attacking Ryloth.
Yes.
Jedi Master Dai and Cham Syndulla are stuck on Ryloth.
So, I don't know if this makes me a good viewer or a bad viewer, but I heard Cham Syndulla and I was like, holy shit, there's another Twi'lek named Syndulla. I was like, I wonder if this person is related to Hera. And then as I was watching the episode, I remembered that it's definitely her dad, and he's in Rebels later, right?
Yes, yeah. Totally. They have a few episodes where, because Hera essentially, okay, now we're jumping forward, but Hera like ran away, or there's something that happens between them where they don't get along.
Maybe we will find out what that is in this episode.
Well, yeah. I don't know about this one, but
maybe not.
Yeah. But yeah, so Rebels, yeah, he definitely shows up in Rebels. But that being said, I agree. I had no memory of him.
Yeah, I had
Clone
totally
Wars.
forgotten. So when he popped up, I was excited.
Yeah, I remember him from Rebels, but as soon as he popped up here, I was like, oh shit, I have absolutely zero memory of this in my first viewing. So, I agree. It was really fun to see him pop up here. You know, even though essentially you and I would have met him years ago, but
right,
just the thing with having so many episodes of Clone Wars, 6 seasons worth, is that these little details get forgotten. So
yeah, so
yeah,
you know, I mean, we probably would have gone. I'm gonna guess that he's in probably season 2 or 3 of Rebels. So that would have put that at what, 2016-ish, so we're looking at 6 years difference. So
yeah,
that's forgivable.
Yeah.
You were talking about Master Dai, and
yes,
his last name is spelled D-I, right?
Yeah.
Did you do any research and find out who this guy is?
No, not at all. What you have?
So he's a Nikto, is the species that he is, but I'm gonna spell out his full name for you and just let you pronounce this.
Oh god.
So he either has a first, middle, last name or like a double first name.
Yeah.
Any guesses?
No, I got.
Okay. His first name is spelled I-M-A.
Okay.
His middle name is G-U-N. So his name is literally I'm gonna die. I'm gonna die.
God.
Well
then.
Yeah. Little too on the nose for me. It's shit like this that fucking drops this show down a rung on my ladder of liking, and you know.
Yeah. See, I didn't know that. Now that definitely kind of changes how I see the rest of the episode now. It totally does. And what's more upsetting is that what I said last week was I liked last week's episode because it seemed to have gotten in release order. We're talking years down the line.
Right.
So my grievances with the movie, they seem to have like worked themselves out in terms of telling a proper story.
Yeah.
In a single episode.
Not to spoil my overall opinion of this episode, but I it fought with me back and forth because of stupid shit like this. Like, who named this guy? Jar Jar? Like, ooh, Misa's a Jedi. His name is I'm gonna die.
Yeah. So I don't want to jump to our conclusion here as well, but you know, being episode 3 of season 3, it with that reveal, which I was unaware of, I am very surprised and shocked that somebody would name a character like that this far along the way here.
Yeah.
So that is supremely disappointing.
Yeah, I agree. I immediately went from Cham Syndulla, like, elated, excited, happy to see what I know is a tie-in, but nobody knew at the time, right?
Yeah.
And then we get Jedi Master die, and then my next note after that is that so there's a battle going on, and Dai is on the front line. He's in the trenches. He's fighting with these clones, and I'm thinking to myself, this is what the Clone Wars is. Like, there's a Jedi. He's got some clones. He's leading these guys in a battle, doing the things that you would do were you in this position. So then I decided, I'm gonna hit up Wikipedia and find out who this guy is, and then I saw his name and I was like, wait a second, this can't be right.
Yeah.
But it is.
Oh, God.
So there's that. And
there's that. And then adding to this episode as we move forward a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So Jedi Master Dai sends a request to the fleet orbiting the planet above him to send some supplies and reinforcements.
Yes.
And then the fleet, basically, as soon as they receive that message, gets destroyed.
Yeah, so this 70s looking guy
Yeah.
with like some badass sideburns and like an Ashton Kutcher, that 70s show, like swoopy haircut, is like Commander Duo or something. DOA is what I wrote. I don't know if that's actually his name. But so Dai asks, you know, he's like, hey, we're getting fucking murdered down here. Somebody's going to die if we don't get supplies. And the commander at the ship is like, sorry, bucko, like, we don't have anything, so there's nothing I can do for you. And Dai's like, no, you need to, like, call and, like, get us some shit. So he calls... What... He does he make the call? Does he like radio back to Coruscant and say, hey, we need some stuff?
Yeah, I think he sends the message forward, essentially.
Okay, right. And his message is that if they don't get some help, the entire Outer Rim garrison is going to be wiped out.
Yeah. So then
that's
Yoda,
that's
Obi-Wan...
like everyone in the Outer Rim. Or I guess just on that planet? I don't really know.
I don't know. I'm confused because is that along the route that they fought so hard to get via Jabba throughout the movie? Like, is this the same?
So it's in the Outer Rim, so it's got to be in the vicinity of Tatooine.
Tatooine, yeah.
So it very well could be. When this happens, there's a clone officer that walks up and like whispers in his ear. Then some other shit happens, and what? So there's like some other shit happens, and I guess just remember that this clone like whispers in his ear, because I think there's something that's gonna come of that.
Okay.
And I'll explain later when we get to that. But what I've got after that is, so we got this clone officer that whispers in the dude's ear. They hang up, and then the people that he called, he doesn't just, you know, dial into military security home base or whatever, but he calls the Jedi Temple directly, I guess, and he's talking to Mace, Yoda, and Obi-Wan. They're all just like standing around, seeing this,
just waiting for messages,
talking to the 70s guy, and you know, nobody's got any supplies. Like, nobody can help anybody.
Yeah, nobody's close.
We're just relaying messages back and forth.
Yeah.
So they call. They then make a call. So far we've got General Dai, the Jedi, that is maybe aptly named, maybe not, down on Ryloth, and he makes a call to the ship and says, I need help. And then the ship makes a call to the Jedi at the temple and says, we need help. And then they make a call to who we find out is Bail Organa.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, Bail, we need help. So it's like a three-way fucking thing.
Yeah.
And supposedly Bail Organa like just got done with something, some mission or some shit. And they're like, hey, we need you to go to Toydaria and piggyback these supplies over to Ryloth. And you need to help out there's a representative on Toydaria, and they basically say, you know, this representative's like not that great at negotiating, so we want you to go and back him up. And they say something about the representative from Naboo, and Bail goes, you know, he's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like,
Padme is fucking awesome.
Padme is fucking awesome. And they're like, yeah, well, it's not Padme, it's Jar Jar. So my question is, like, who the fuck put Jar Jar in charge of anything? Like, anything at all?
Well, because he's still a senator at this point, right? Because you have to remember, he's the one that literally months ago or whatever granted executive powers.
Right, but I don't know if he's a senator or if he's just like a senator representative. Like, I don't know how the
stand-in
falls.
for Padme.
Yeah. So when Padme can't be there to like cut the ribbon or eat like cheese and crackers with some other fucking senator, they send in Jar Jar.
Yeah,
which is fine, but I don't think that you should. You got 3 Jedi here that are saying, "Hey, Bail, we'd totally call this guy that was sent on some diplomatic mission, but he's incompetent, so we need you to go and fucking help him out."
Yeah,
like they know he's incompetent, but he's on some fucking mission to get, guess what, another fucking treaty signed.
Yeah.
So
yeah, like why wouldn't they just send Bail alone? You know,
or anybody else?
Literally anybody else. Yeah, the need to continue to use Jar Jar is confusing. From an outside perspective, I am curious if this is Filoni and crew trying their best to kind of reconcile the idea that Jar Jar even exists, right?
I'm glad you said that, because there are a few things that happen in this episode that really fall into that description.
Yeah.
And we'll get to that sneak preview. We're on Toydaria, and the only other Toydarian that we have met is
Watto.
Right.
Yeah.
So
both Tatooine natives, or at least that's where we met them. Or no, sorry. No.
No, you meant Jar Jar on Naboo.
Jar on Naboo. That's right. I somehow mixed that up in my head. Anyway, just that whole first movie just kind of blends in my head. So, but moving on. So they received this transmission from the fleet, and then before they talk to Bail, we get the glimpse of Count Dooku, who on his ship, one of these other bots comes in and is like, "Hey, we were able to decipher this partial transmission,"
which that I thought was cool. Like, finally, there's some fucking actual like war shit going on, right?
Like an actual proactive, like, hey, we're trying to tap into these feeds here.
Right. We got a Jedi that's on the front line fucking fighting, leading his guys. We've got the enemy that has got its feelers out and doing some scans and shit. I don't know the technicals of how this works, but they intercept this transmission. Did you notice that Dooku's eyes are straight, like, rolled back in his head?
Yeah. Like, even he seems annoyed with all these bots around him. Like,
and it's it's just like a tactical droid and a battle droid that walk in, and then, you know, you've got something that is pretty cool with this interception of this transmission, and then you got something stupid, and Count Dooku is on, like, this fucking sit and spin spinny chair.
Yeah.
Like, I love rolly chairs. I got one in my garage, you know, in case I need to roll around in my garage and do stuff. But this isn't... He's just sitting on this, like, round fucking couch that spins around.
Yeah.
And I think that's lame.
Because what was he doing before? He was just, like, staring out a window, essentially, right?
I figured he was meditating.
Okay.
So,
like, he wasn't near Ryloth, right? Like, he wasn't overwatching the other fleet getting destroyed or anything?
No, I don't think so. I think that he's just chilling in his Dooku shipmobile.
Just chilling out until the next news comes.
Waiting for Darth Sidious to give him some instructions.
All right, yeah.
Thinking about General Grievous, or, you know,
off doing his thing, yeah.
Lamenting over Qui-Gon. I'm not really sure.
All right, so then Bail and Jar Jar make their way toward towards Toydaria.
Yes.
Yeah.
And real quick, right before that, just to keep count, we had Dai call some fucking commander.
Yeah.
Who called Yoda, who called Bail, and then we jump over to Dooku, who tells this fucking tactical droid to call Lot Dod and leave him a message.
Yeah.
And tell Lot Dod that he wants to talk to him. It's like this is the episode of fucking telephone.
Yeah. It's just endless calling and leaving voicemails and, oh, I'm sorry I didn't get you.
Right.
Please tell me.
Phone tag.
Yeah.
So that's when we jump to Ryloth with Bail Organa. And
Toydaria?
Yep, Toydaria, not Ryloth. I'm looking at it, and it says Toydaria.
You're good.
I said Ryloth. So this ship that he's in, right, is like a Corvette cruiser, or also
was it the Corvette cruiser, or was it the Tantave?
I thought they were the same thing.
I thought they were different.
Oh, shit.
So, I thought the Corvette cruiser had more of a an angular front to it, like it had the big spike thingy. Because that's what crashes into again, jumping forward in Rogue One, the one that crashes into the Star Destroyer. It kind of had more of a
So is that the same
vertical thing on it?
Right, is that the same
so
thing
wrong.
as the red one that we see at the beginning of episode 1? Is that the one that you're thinking of?
No, I don't have any memory of what you are describing or alluding to. I don't know exactly which one you're talking about.
That would be at the very beginning, the ship that Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan are on that lands in the donut with a bite out of it.
Maybe.
At the very beginning of
when they're going to
the Phantom Menace.
Yeah, like the very first scene that they're flying in.
Right.
Yeah. I honestly have no visual memory of the ship they're flying in on. So
we're gonna have to look into this, but I thought the Corvette cruiser and the Tantive IV were the same type of ship, but perhaps
they might
not.
be in this. They might be in the same make.
Right.
Like they might both be like a.
They're both Corellian.
Yeah. But not the exact same model.
Right. So you're saying a Corvette cruiser is different than a blockade runner.
Yes.
Okay, so this is the blockade runner then.
That's what I thought, right?
Right.
Yeah, it looked like he was in the Tantave, so
Yes.
one of the various Tantaves.
Yes. So, do you have any notes on the ship? Because I have a few.
Not on the ship itself, no.
My first note is that the landing of this ship makes it look fucking small.
Yeah.
This thing is actually fucking huge. But we see it land, to describe it, we see it land on this platform. And I want to say there are some Toydarians that are in frame, so to kind of give it visually, visual reference or whatever. And then from the center of the ship, this elevator shaft like shoots down to the ground, and it's kind of like this telescoping tunnel that goes up and down all the way down, and then some doors open and Bail Organa walks out. This ship in particular is actually 150 meters long, so it's like a football field and a half long.
Yeah.
But in this landing sequence, it looks like, I don't know, maybe like 4 fucking cars long.
Yeah.
It doesn't look much longer than like 40, 50 feet.
Like a couple of buses.
Yeah, maybe like 2 buses, we'll say.
Yeah.
And so then it also looks like maybe 2 buses wide. Mm-hmm. And they're actually like, it's precisely 48.6 meters, however many feet that is, I'm not really sure. And it's 32.6 meters tall. So, I mean, this thing is as long as a football field, as wide as a football field, and like 3 stories tall. Mm-hmm. But it looks so small.
Yeah, because the Toydarians are just right next to it.
Right.
And they're already small on their own.
Right, and it's just an issue of scale.
Yeah.
but it looked like just like a little toy, like somebody's like, ooh, look, Bale's landing on the planet. Like, I'll just take my little toy and move it over here and put it on this box, and like that's my landing platform.
Yeah.
And they've done so many things in this show that are way better than that. It's at points I felt like somebody wasn't checking their shit and making sure that things were the right size or something. So
it was probably like one of the last shots they got together, and they had to finish it quick before air date or something like that. Maybe like
right,
that sort of situation. Yeah.
And then I also have a note on cargo capacity of this thing, and it's 3,000 metric tons.
Okay.
And so a metric ton is different than like a standard ton. A ton in the United States is 2,000 pounds.
Yeah.
A metric ton is 1,000 kilos. Mm-hmm. So it's 2,200 pounds, or it's 2,204.62 pounds per metric ton. So this thing holds 6,613,868 pounds of cargo.
Yeah. Okay.
Which will be important later.
Yes. Yeah.
But we can move on from there. Jar Jar Binks comes up and like tells this Toydarian guard to like piss off.
Yeah.
And meets up with Bail Organa, and then the guard says like, no, you're not going anywhere, like stay on your ship, like
well no off-worlders are allowed to wander around,
right? And
which makes no sense to me.
Right. Well, what makes less sense is that Bail's like, you know what, no, whatever, like I'm gonna go see the king.
Yeah.
So
and just walks past the guards, and the guards are like,
him out the way.
Yeah, towards the king. And then what makes less sense is when he does get to the king, Katuunko. Katuunko is very clear. He's like, Toydaria is a neutral planet, but then piss off-worlders. You can't walk around our neutral planet.
Right.
Like,
that's not very neutral.
Yeah, I didn't understand that whatsoever, because it's literally like the next scene. And I'm just like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah.
Like, you just had guards like sticking up their weapons towards Bail Organa, a senator of the Republic, you know.
So when
he still makes it in the fucking throne room anyways, like.
Yeah, he just you would think that these guards would be like, no, you're not fucking going anywhere. Yeah. And if Bail was like, nope, I'm going to see the king, and they push past him, that they would just fucking shoot Bail.
Yeah, shoot him,
dead,
incapacitate him, something. Yeah, like.
Or, even though Jar Jar is introduced in this episode in like the silliest of manners, where he's like, hello, from across the fucking landing platform.
Yeah. That
he could vouch for him and be like, no, like, hey, it's me, Jar Jar. Like, you remember you did this to me earlier.
Yeah.
He's with me. Which actually brings up another question. And if this would have happened to Jar Jar when Jar Jar landed, wouldn't he just still be in his ship? Like, he probably would. He would have been like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Misa don't know what to do.
Yeah, yeah. I have no logical explanation for any of these events that definitely happened for plot convenience, essentially.
Right. Have you ever just, called out hello in such a manner? Like, walked into work and like, hello?
Yeah. No. Not like that. Not like a nice gentle wave,
Right.
But like, our logic is obviously going to be different than Jar Jar logic, right? Like,
so I've done this before.
Yeah.
I did this one time when I was a kid. Probably more than once.
Yeah.
Somehow I have this memory of getting into the habit of like walking into my house with my parents when I'm a kid. Like, we go to the fucking grocery store or whatever. Come home, open the door, and I'd be like, hello, is anybody home? Knowing that there's nobody there, right?
Yeah.
Because I was a dumb little kid. And one particular time, we were like at my grandparents' house or some shit, and it was around the time of my mom's birthday. And we fucking come home, all the lights are off, and we walk into the house, and I blurt out this "hello, is there anybody home" thing, right?
Yeah.
And I walk down the hall, and there's a bunch of people in my fucking kitchen. And
yeah.
turns out there was a surprise party for my mom for like her 40th birthday party, and I'm walking in the door as like an 8-year-old kid making a damn fool of myself. Thinking back, it was probably pretty funny, and all these people that like held it together and didn't like snicker or laugh or anything, like kudos to them. Needless to say, since then I have not done that. But that sharing that story, I think we can talk about the Toydarians now. First note I had about the king is that he's got like a nice groomed hipster neck beard going on.
Yeah.
And there was some things that I wanted to just bring up in general about the Toydarians. So as we said earlier, the only other Toydarian that we have met is Watto. Mm-hmm. Would you care to describe Watto in your own words?
There's no other way to say it. He's just overly Jewish.
Yes. He's quite Jewish.
Yeah, like they gave him the weirdest kind of like businessman-y New York accent sort of thing.
Right.
And then...
Hey, Annie, you gonna make me some money today?
Yeah, it's weird. It's like slightly Eastern European, but not. It's not really anything. I don't know how else to put it. Yeah.
Yeah, and on top of it, like he's dirty. He's got flies flying around him all the time.
Yeah.
He is naked. He wears like a slight,
just like a vest situation, right?
He wears a slight vest, and I had to look this up because I was getting very confused because all these Toydarians that we're meeting have like full pants on. They've actually got little holes in the back of their pants where their like featherless chicken nub tail sticks out.
Yeah.
And Watto does not wear pants. He kind of has a belt.
Like a random utility belt sort of thing, right?
It's like a utility belt and a skimpy little vest.
Doing anything.
But other than that, he is nude. Mm-hmm. So I guess he just flies around with his dick hanging out all the time.
I got nothing.
I'm not really sure. And
we're talking, it's like a Donald Duck situation, with Watto,
right. But everybody else is fully clothed. Long pants, long sleeves, jackets, vests, headwear, all kinds of shit. I mean, I guess Watto did have his little metal plate for a hat. Mm-hmm. So he did have that. And then one of the first Toydarians that we meet, this guard that's outside, tells Bale, "We have laws of hospitality." So I guess their laws of hospitality are like stay in your ship.
Just stay in the ship. Yeah, that's how hospitable we are. Just stay in your damn ship.
So
we're not going to provide anything. Just stay in your own damn ship.
Yeah. My first note was Toydarians have laws of hospitality, not Jewish greed. So there's that. I guess eventually Bale and Jar Jar make their way into the throne room. Mm-hmm. And from there, they are talking. Go ahead.
I do have another, because like once we're in the throne room, we do hear some of the other Toydarians talking. Mm-hmm. Then the other thing I found interesting is they all have a completely different accent from the one next to them.
And none of them are blue-collar Jewish New Yorker.
No, like one of them has like a Jamaican accent.
Right.
Which it comes out of nowhere. I don't understand.
Right, and this goes back to that thing that you were saying where you felt like Dave Filoni and the Clone Wars staff were deliberately putting these things in to either legitimize or negate criticism.
Yeah.
Because let's not lie. When The Phantom Menace came out, there were people that were pissed that Watto was this stereotype, and so now we have a whole fucking planet of Wattos, and they're all completely different, and they're wearing clothes, and they don't have a particular accent, and it's not like a dirty, sweaty guy that owns a kid and keeps him in his basement.
Yeah, like that was just Watto. It wasn't the entire planet.
Right. He is
the
not
planet
representative
is
of of everybody, of all Toydarians. That's just Watto. So don't worry. Like not all Toydarians are racists and
slave
pedophiles
owners.
And whatever else, and they're not all naturists or nudists or anything like that. So,
because we have to remember, Watto didn't just own slaves; he owned a family.
He did,
mother and child.
Do you think that Watto is actually Anakin's dad?
No, I don't. I don't see that. I've still always tried to figure out the whole Anakin's dad situation. Like, I am not down with the idea that he is a child of the Force.
I'm okay with that. I kind of like that idea.
Oh, it's just again, different conversation, but in a single movie that tries to add that level of mysticism, but then when in one breath is like, "Oh, I'm checking your midichlorian count."
Right.
Like, it works against itself. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's definitely the story came out in old EU Legends now in the Plagueis novel, where Plagueis and Sidious were trying to create life via influencing midichlorians in the Force, which I thought midichlorians were like in the bloodstream and not just like existing in the Force.
Yeah.
So that leads me to believe that they would have been trying to like create life within someone else. But I've heard like two things. Like, one, supposedly the Force like knew what was going on, so their fucking mission failed, but the Force like spontaneously germinated this life form within Shmi as like a counterbalance.
But why her?
And also that and also that Anakin was the life form that was created by Sidious in this experiment.
But either way, why this random lady in Tatooine? This planet in the middle of nowhere that nobody goes to.
Right.
Like,
that's why I'm going with Watto is Anakin's dad.
Watto's the father. Yeah.
Watto is the father.
I got nothing for you there. So, but anyways, moving forward. So Bail and Jar Jar in the throne room.
Correct.
Do you want to describe what happens next in the throne room?
So next, Lot Dod comes in, right? Is that what we're talking about?
Yes.
So Lot Dod is
up.
a Nemoidian.
Yep.
And the Nemoidians were a species that we originally met in the Phantom Menace that was also accused of being a racial stereotype.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
it was real bad.
Right.
There were a handful of bad things happening in episode 1. The accents definitely were some of the bad stuff. Because by the later,
that Rhaegar?
Yeah, because notice by episode 2 and 3, the accents kind of got shifted a little bit for our friend Newt Gunray. And
did Newt's change a little bit? I don't really remember that.
Newt's disappeared completely. He still had this like weird manner of talking, but it wasn't as bad as say like fucking Breakfast at Tiffany's,
Right.
So
I do know that I don't know what the Nemoidian's name is, but there's like a navigator Nemoidian on the Invisible Hand. And he's on the bridge when Anakin and Obi-Wan basically take over, and then they're going to land the ship. And he just sounds like a surfer bro from California. Whoa, bro, what's going on, man?
Again, just trying to correct all the various choices that were made for episode 1. So
so this is probably like a apologist plot point number 3 or 4 of this episode.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So Lot Dodd, even though he's and I watched these a couple times, right? So the second go through, I figured out what was going on with him. But originally, because the king calls him like a senator, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was thinking, and Lot Dodd says something about the Separatist Senate. So then I was thinking that he was a senator for the Separatist. But he's not. He's a senator for the Republic. And he is telling the king, you can't go along with Bail. Like, you can't let him launch some supplies off of your fucking planet because that will void your neutrality with the Separatist. And it's because the Jedi are on Ryloth that there is a blockade around Ryloth, right?
Yeah.
Which I don't know why Lot Dodd would be privy to all of said information about why the Separatists are doing whatever. That seems a little sketchy.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, because then...
I mean, we know as viewers that Lot Dodd is in bed with the Separatists.
Yeah.
And the Trade Federation. But from their point of view, Lot Dodd should look like a respected member of the Senate. But he comes in... I feel like that would be like an American congressperson, like going to Sweden and being like... No, Sweden, like, you can't do that for England because, like, the Nazis would get mad at you. And I'm going to stick up for the Nazis instead of sticking up for the United States here, even though I am one of them. A United Statesian, one of them. So that's why I was confused, like, the first go through, and it took me watching this 2 times to figure out that he's essentially a good senator fighting for the benefit of the bad dudes, which was a little confusing.
I just saw it as like Bail and Lot Dodd and Jar Jar, whatever he is. Mm-hmm. They were both, or all 3 of them, potentially senators in the Republic. But like even within the Republic, there were kind of like these different factions that had carved themselves out.
Right.
Such as those that align themselves with the Jedi and those that align themselves more with the Separatists.
Right.
And that's what Lot Dodd was doing, was that he was just kind of there to make sure that Bail wasn't kind of going in on his own rogue mission.
Right, like making sure that Bail wasn't like being a tea partier about it or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Like, however you want to break it down, like one of these dudes is like the alt-right or something like that, right?
Right.
So they're going like full blast, like the Separatists are like the birther movement or something like that, like.
Right.
So that's kind of like they're all still in the same system of government, but outside of that giant chamber.
Yep.
They're still kind of lobbying for whatever the fuck they want to lobby for.
Okay.
Right.
Gotcha.
So that's what Bail is doing there. He's trying to lobby so that he can get the Toydarians and King Katuunko.
There we go.
Yeah, King Katuunko, to allow them to have like using the planet as like a launch off spot to reroute supplies for, and then
right. So then basically the king has heard Bail's side, and he's heard Lot Dodd's side, and he goes, I'm going to think about this, I'll give you my decision. And then we cut back to Ryloth for a little bit, and we see some more of the battle going on, and General Dai and his crew. So there's an actual fucking trench dug in the ground, and this is like trench warfare that we got going on.
Yeah.
Which was pretty interesting. And then Dai and his crew are like chilling in, I don't know, a blown out building or a cave or a park pavilion or something. It's kind of hard to tell exactly what it is. But there's these two-legged beasts that we see. Did you know what I'm talking about?
That. No.
They're like these big fucking things that they ride on. And it looks
the
like
Twi'leks were riding on?
Yeah, and it looks like a cross between like a dewback and Road to the Hutt.
Yeah.
So these things are called blurgs. BLURRG. And although they look cool, it's completely fucking impractical because it's this big fucking T-Rex hippo thing. And they ride along on top of them, so they're kind of lumbering, and it doesn't look like they're very fast. Like they're beast of burden. Like you wouldn't ride a mule into
the Civil War,
right? Like a horse, okay, I get it. The cavalry, good, but you're not gonna ride like a fucking
like a pack mule,
right?
Essentially, yeah,
right. But like a water buffalo pack mule,
yeah.
It's just doesn't seem too practical. So, one of the clone troopers is like bitching about how they're stuck there, and he's got these cool ass horns on his helmet. And my question to you is: are these ram's horns, or are they bantha horns, or kind of what do we got going on there?
I don't know. I noticed that too, but I was just like, okay, the dude just threw horns on to personalize.
Yeah. So it is definitely, since we are season 3 here, we definitely have more customization of armor and shit like that going on with the clones. Which gives a little spice to the viewing palette, which is nice, and you can differentiate between this clone and that clone, even if they don't have names. So all these guys with Dai are like their trimmings are maroon. So we've seen blue, we've seen yellow, we've seen red. I think these are maroon, and it's not really explained. There's no explanation that I've seen as to why the different colors. Like, does a Jedi go, my favorite color is chartreuse. You guys are going to be white and chartreuse. Or, whatever. So,
like, are they different units? But
are they assigned these, or does the Jedi pick it?
Yeah.
Nobody really knows. So at that point, we're back on Toydaria, and I guess the king himself has decided or made his decision, and that decision is
he will remain neutral. Toydaria will remain neutral.
Right. Yeah. So Lot Dog got his way. I have a random note written over here that says one of the Toydarians sounds kind of like Idris Elba.
I don't think I noticed that.
Yeah. So there's that.
I'll have to go back and listen. Yeah.
So we had, I think Bale kind of tries to plead his case a little bit more, and the Toydarians are talking about how they're humanitarian and they got to keep this neutrality status going on. Then we get a holocom transmission of Orn Frita, who is a very, very fat Twi'lek, and he's trying to lobby on the behalf of his home planet. One thing I did notice is that he pronounces the natives of Ryloth are spelled, the alien species is spelled TWI''LEK, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've always pronounced it Twi'lek with a Y sound. This is what Orn Frita says, is Twi'lek. Everyone else in this episode pronounces it the other way, which is Twi'lek.
Twi'lek, yeah.
Yeah. So I guess that's just, a point proven that Leia, Twi'lek, Han,
Yeah.
don't really know.
Pick whatever you feel is right.
Yep. So then at that point, Lot Dod comes back up and he's got some shit to say. One of which he's talking about how it's just an inconvenient fact, which I thought was probably a direct reference to the documentary Inconvenient Truth.
Yeah.
So it kind of feels like there's a bunch of little, like, real-world political jabs going on in this episode as well.
Yeah. But also it's a good phrase, right? Like, I agree it's probably a small reference to it, but I think it's just a really good phrase to use in situations like that,
Right.
Yeah.
So he's talking about how it's not a humanitarian deal, it's going to be a military deal. And at this point, they go from comparing the situation to, like I said earlier, piggybacking some ships from where they are to where they need to be, to setting up a fucking full-fledged base.
Yeah.
So I don't know if part of that was Jar Jar's mission, because Jar Jar was there to have some treaty signed, or to try to get some treaty signed. And then Bail shows up to ask permission to have some shipment dropped off there, and then he can take it somewhere else. And now they're talking about setting up a fucking military base.
Yeah.
So things are escalating pretty quickly.
Very, very quickly, yes.
And Lot Dod says, if you do this, then the Trade Federation is going to cease all trade with Toydaria, and that makes the king fucking freak out. So is the Trade Federation like the Teamsters, and if so, is Lot Dod like Space Jimmy Hoffa?
Yeah, I imagine like the Trade Federation is like a really weird version of like the European Union.
Right.
But
it's odd because like the Trade Federation seems like an organization, not some type of planetary system.
Yeah, not a governmental body sort of thing.
Right, and in this Galactic Senate, businesses that are big enough have representatives in the Senate. Could you imagine if there was like a Walmart senator? Like Sam, Senator Sam Walton, of Walmart. Like, what state are you from? Nope, Walmart.
No, Walmart. This is the one, yeah.
It would probably be fucking like Stan Kroenke or something like that. So, that's my opinion on that. That would not be good.
No, but yeah, I agree. It's weird that the Trade Federation is this other piece of the puzzle that can hold so much sway. Because, like, if the Trade Federation turns, does that mean that, like, every planet that's in the Trade Federation has to go with, or else they get locked out too? Or
I would imagine so.
Right. So, yeah, it's this weird thing. But then at some point, like, because the war is so expansive, somebody had to turn, and then, like, there are planets all over. Like, why is the Trade Federation still kind of trying to hold power? Because with so much going on, they would have lost a bunch of pieces already, right? Like,
yeah, it doesn't make any sense. Like, this is at least the second time that they've done this blockade of a planet to fucking nanny poo-poo somebody else's ideas and get their own way. And yeah,
because that doesn't make any sense. Like, if they're the ones blockading it anyways, but then who, like, the Separatists are attacking Ryloth, right? Like, it's not like somebody shot up at the blockade.
Yeah, I'm kind of unclear on that. I know that Lot Dod like runs through it, and he says that the only reason the blockade is there is because the Jedi are fighting the Separatists, and if they would have just let the Separatists fucking take the planet, like, everything would be would be fine and there would be no blockade.
Yeah.
And then,
but, yeah,
to that effect, Bale says, like, Ryloth didn't ask for the fucking Separatists to come in and take their planet over. So that's why the Jedi and the clones are there to, like, liberate
and defend
the planet of the Separatists.
Yeah.
And so that's why the fucking blockade is there, and that's why all of the Twi'leks are starving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there have been a lot of steps to try and figure this all out.
This is a very multiple level of plan type deal. Speaking of plans,
yes,
back on Ryloth, Dai comes up with this plan to, so they're kind of in like this valley area, but it's like a super valley,
like a canyon sort of situation. Yeah,
canyon is probably a better description than super valley.
Yeah, they're essentially in this like weird like 3-path canyon.
Yes,
and yeah.
Have you ever been to the Grand Super Valley?
I have been to the Grand Super Valley. Yeah, the south rim of the Grand Super Valley in Arizona. Yeah, I've camped there. It was really nice.
I've never been there.
You've never been there? Oh, no. Wow. Yeah,
never
went
been
on
there,
a random.
So I had no comments. This is why I didn't know what a canyon was.
Because you haven't seen the grandest of the canyons.
Correct.
And therefore, yeah. Are there any? I'm sure there are. Name 3 other famous canyons. Like,
there's the Grand Super Valley.
Yes.
There is this one on Ryloth. There's Beggar's Canyon on Tatooine.
Okay. Yep. That's funny you say Grand Super Valley because my university, for anybody who's in Michigan, was Grand Valley.
Nice.
That was Grand Valley State University. So that's the school I went to. So there are grand valleys out there.
Right.
Which is weird because in Michigan everything's fucking flat, so I don't know what the valley is. So
yeah,
but I got nothing for you there. But anyways, so yeah, they are in a canyon.
Yep, they're in a canyon. It's kind of like a Y-shaped canyon.
Yes.
So what they're gonna do is blow up the rest of the artillery that they have. They've got like one Republic gunship.
Yes.
And they're going to put a bunch of bombs in it, and they're going to fucking blow it up to, like, block the passage, and then it'll be one in, one out, and they won't have to, like, fight in 2 directions.
Yeah, because essentially they're fighting 2 fronts, because the Separatists are coming down 2 of the canyon routes towards their 1.
Correct.
Yeah.
So that's his plan, is to, like, blow this fucking thing up, and this clone trooper that is there pauses.
Keeley?
Yeah, that's his name, right?
Keeley?
So.
That's the one, right? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Captain Keeley?
That's the one clone trooper that we...
the one named.
One named. The one that we are introduced to in this episode. But he listens to General Dai's plan, and he stops and he just goes... just like super deep breath and sigh, like, fuck.
Yeah.
But he's like, all right, mate, like, let's go. So,
because that gunship's essentially their one way off too, right?
Yes, that's their last ditch effort.
Yeah.
And throw all the cards at the fucking cab.
And also, I don't know where they came from, but the other concern is that there are a bunch of Twi'leks with families and stuff.
Yeah, so I think what it is that in the convergence of super valleys, there is a town called Super Valley Town, and they are defending the houses of Super Valley Town. So then the kid Twi'leks and the lady Twi'leks are all getting on these blurgs and riding off.
Yes. So not just the men, but the women and the children too. Yeah.
Yes.
are all getting on the blurgs.
So
Okay. Yes.
at this point, we jump back to Toydaria, and this is where we get the official "fuck it" from the king, and he says, "Piss off, Bail. I'm staying neutral." At this point, I got a note that says the music is badass. Binks and Bail are like walking down this hallway, kind of like, well, we lost that one. Now we got to figure out what to do. And the king swoops in, and what he tells them to do is, hey, like officially, I've got to say we're staying neutral, but you guys need to do this because we can't let all these Rylothians die.
Yeah, like ethically speaking,
right? He doesn't want that
sit well with them. Yeah,
right. He doesn't want that on his conscience. Right.
Yeah.
So he tells Bail, do it anyway, but be sneaky about it.
Yeah.
So at this point, Bail comes up with a plan that we get to see unfolding, and there is like a private dinner that the king is putting on for Lot Dod and the other Nemoidians, and Jar Jar gets to attend as well, and it's on this floating, rotating table, and they're all sitting on floating chairs, and that doesn't sit well with me. Like, I don't... Well, like, I get it. The fucking Toydarians have wings and they fly. But why do you
But then why are they seated? Like, are they comfortably seating, or are they still kind of, like, hovering with a chair also hovering under them? Like, what is happening?
I think they're
Because I had that question, too.
I think they're sitting on the chairs because in the king's chamber, like, there's just a bunch of fucking concrete ledges and shit that all the other Toydarians are sitting on. So I think that they can sit just fine. And it's not like the weird, like, bike frame without a bike seat that Watto sits on at some point in time. But that's probably just because he likes to fly around naked and enjoys sitting on whatever that contraption was. That would be my guess. Anyway.
Yeah, but I agree the practicality of this floating, spinning table makes no sense. Like, but even then, like, it's not even visually interesting to me. It happens, it throws me off, but then it's never really brought up again for any good reason.
Right.
Because then also in terms of interior design, then you have this room that's essentially just tall for the one reason of it needs to fit this table that's going to float up and down while we have dinner in it.
Yeah, how nauseating would it be to fucking sit at a rotating table?
Yeah, there's that, and then like you have to look down, and if somebody needs to go to the restroom, then what are you doing? Like,
yep.
If somebody needs to excuse themselves,
the whole table has to land.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, we do see somebody get up from this table, and we'll get to that in a moment, but we got to jump back to Ryloth for a minute. Right after Bail gives Jar Jar like a secret earpiece that he can stick into his ear, and they can communicate with each other vis-a-vis Avengers style. So we're back on Ryloth. I got a note that says Cham is all butthurt.
Yes, yeah. I was going to bring that up at some point. I just didn't remember where that exactly landed. But yeah, Cham, for whatever reason, isn't down with the plan to, like, save his whole town or something like that.
Right.
Why?
Do you think it's one of those, I didn't make the plan, so your plan sucks, and let's pretend that I made the plan, and then we'll know the plan is good?
Yes, I think that's kind of what is happening, because otherwise, it looks, from what I could gather watching the show, it looks like Master Dai is trying to do everything he can to, like, save the people, but it looks like Cham just wants to, like, down with the enemy, like, at all costs sort of situation. Is that what it even was? Like, I don't even remember.
I think that he thinks it's a stupid plan, and that they're wasting the few resources that they have, and just fucking pissing away their opportunity to fight at all. But
then, because Master Dai brings up a good point where it's like, hey, you have like children and old people who can't like exactly run away, so
mm-hmm.
you know, having a whole horde of separatists coming at them is pretty much certain death, and we can only hold off so much.
Right. So we see some droids walk up to this Republic gunship, which I recently learned is called a LAAT. L-A-A-T.
Okay. Does it stand for something, or?
Yes, it's a low altitude assault transport.
Oh, interesting. All right.
So if we've ever seen these things fly outside of atmosphere, they shouldn't.
Yeah, I honestly don't think we have. It's always been
right. So we'll have to look out for that. Because if they do, that's bullshit. It's in their name.
Yeah.
Low altitude.
But then
transport.
How are they getting transported from planet to planet?
On the good guy Star Destroyers.
On the Star Destroyers that then do land.
They break
somewhere
atmosphere,
on the planet,
and then they let out the LAATs.
The gunships. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Yep.
So these droids walk up and they open the door, and one of them's like, "Hey, watch out! There could be Jedi." And the other one goes, "Nope, bombs.
Just bombs.
Just bombs." And then boom, they blow up.
Yeah.
I wrote bombs away.
And it was even like, but there was like one of them too that goes bombs, and then it like blows up, and like the clone trooper that's like watching it all is like, "Gotcha," and then like hits the button.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, why even wait that long? Like, I don't. If the plan is to block the route,
right?
Why even wait until? Because like in essence, only like the two droids really died, right?
Yeah, I guess they like wandered in.
But they didn't like really destroy any of the tanks or anything, did they?
I don't think so.
Yeah, because the rest of them were like, we gotta go the other way.
Oh shit, we gotta walk around.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so we have to go around the pass. Like, great. So that happens. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then we kind of cut back to the weird floating dinner table.
We do cut back, and then so we see some cargo ships that are like this weird design. So they look like the Tantive 4. They look like the blockade runner that we saw at the beginning of this episode. But from where the like eyeball shaped thing is on the front, that's the cockpit. Yeah. Like all the way to the engines in the back, it's like it's super armored or something. It's got like these angled armor things going. I'm pantomiming to Lorenzo, but you guys can't see that. So if you could, it looked like this.
Yes.
And that's like
that exact shape.
Yes.
It's that exact thing.
It was a very good pantomime. It's kind of like an angled thing that goes from front to back. So it doesn't have like the bulbous cockpit and then like the skinny neck and then like the wider, presumably cargo area. And then like even that like cuts in at the hips and then there's like the engines in the back, right? Instead, it's just like a sloped thing from the top down to the middle and then from the bottom up to the middle. And they have these two. They have like these. The engine propulsion system looks different. Where like the Tantive 4 has, it's got 11 engine thruster things. There's 4 on the top, 3 in the middle, 4 on the bottom. On these, it's like one central one, and then they have these wings that like open up. So as these 3 fucking blockade runners are flying in, you see like the tail end of them open up. I'm trying to think of something to compare this to, but I can't. So we'll just kind of leave it at that. It's like if you had your feet together on the ground, your heels together and your toes together, and then you kept your heels together, but you rotated your feet so that your toes were like pointing in opposite directions.
Yeah.
That's what the back of this ship does.
Yeah.
So I explained all that just because I liked it, and that's all. and I have no idea what that does or whatever.
Yeah, like it's not a solar sailor or anything, right? Like
no, it's not
just,
like a braking system. It looks like it's just like
it's just like a dolphin's fin, right? Like,
right.
It's a dolphin's fin on the back, right? Just
Yeah.
sprawled out, but it's not used to change the like yaw of the ships flying or anything. Yeah, like
they just do. All three of them do it like as they're coming into land. That's it. Not sure why.
So, yes.
So at this point, we get to see what Bale's plan is, and that was for Jar Jar to cause a distraction. So on the floaty table, you see the table ascend. Like they go up, they sit down, the table ascends. And presumably somebody dropped off like the meal and like filled up their fucking waters or something, right?
Yeah.
And it is to be noted that there are 8 people at this table. Mm-hmm. And you can see that they all have 1 plate and 1 cup.
Yeah.
Okay. So Jar Jar fucking climbs up on the table and starts acting like a damn buffoon.
Yeah.
And grabbing plates out of people's hands. Which is weird because some of the people have picked their plates up off of the fucking table and are just eating what looks like chicken legs, like off of that. Everything's kind of finger food. There's no silverware or anything. And he just starts snatching plates and dumping food on the table and on the floor and picking up cups and all this shit. And then he proceeds to say that he is going to do some performance art.
Yeah.
And starts throwing cups and fucking plates around and builds a tower.
Yep. On the floating spinning table.
On the floating spinning table.
Yeah.
So the number of plates and the number of cups don't fucking add up.
No. Definitely not.
Because there are 8 people at the table
who
all have 1 glass and all have 1, maybe 2 plates. So there should be like 16 plates possible.
Yeah.
If everybody had 2, but it looks like they only have 1, and like 8 cups. So you actually see him pick up 3 cups. I know I got fucking totals here. Where did I write them? Give me just 1 second.
Yeah. But the other thing to note too is that there are windows that go around 360 degrees while they're floating up. So
Correct.
Then they have view of everything. And that's why Jar Jar needs to distract them, because at any point any one of them could look in any general direction, because it doesn't I couldn't tell it. At some point you see the ships taking off, but it doesn't look like they're all taking off from the same point, unless things got so turned around that I was just confusing myself.
Right.
So that's what's really weird, because while Jar Jar is building this tower of chalices and plates, you see a couple of ships take off, and Jar Jar is, in fact, keeping the attention of Lot Dod and the others. And then at one point, so like 2 take off behind Lot Dod, and then at one point Lot Dod is like, "What are you looking at?" Looks out that direction, and then the other ship takes off from behind Jar Jar.
Right.
So like, where are these ships coming from?
I didn't really think about that until you reminded me that the table was rotating. So I'm thinking they just fucking took off from the same place.
But things are just spinning so much that
the table is spinning. But then you also don't see the
like
windows.
The windows aren't moving though. Yeah. Because at some point it goes up, and like the windows have like square panels.
Right, like dividers.
So you can see like the vertical slits of them, or where they're being braced in.
Right.
And those aren't rotating. So then when the ship takes off from behind Jar Jar, I'm just like,
it was picking up different stuff, like the 2 of the ships were getting boxes of stovetop stuffing, and the other one was getting ramen noodles. So it was just like they had to go to a different store. But
here's my other question, because like the deal that King Katuunko makes with Bale is that Bale is allowed to send supplies off to Ryloth.
Mm-hmm.
But
he says only what you brought with you.
Yeah. So then why are they like reloading other ships?
Right.
And also, where did those ships come from?
Right.
And also, if those ships had to come to pick up that stuff,
right?
Why didn't they just bring more shit with them?
I'm gonna get back to your question.
Yes.
But I'm going to pull back a little bit and talk about these Jar Jar shenanigans.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so we see him pick up the following.
Yeah.
3 cups, 3 plates, 2 plates, 3 plates, 3 cups, 5 plates, then another plate. Okay?
Yeah.
So that's a total of 6 cups, 11, 17 plates, right? Then what we see him holding in his hands later, because you see him with the whole stack, he's got 9 cups. So he got 3 more, magically. And then you see a total of 23 plates.
Yep.
So he got 6 more of those.
Okay.
As he's throwing these cups and plates and shit out, you see him basically the whole time, and he builds like a 4-stack tall tower of cups and plates. But then it like pulls back, and you see the whole table, and he's like, ta-da! You know, I'm done.
Yeah.
And it goes as follow from the bottom to the top. It's got 5 cups, 5 plates, then another 5 cups, then 6 plates, then 1 cup, 1 plate, 1 cup, 1 plate, 1 cup, 1 plate, 1 cup, 1 plate. Gets real skinny there for a minute. Then it's 3 cups and 3 plates on top, then 5 cups and 5 plates, then 7 cups and 7 plates, then 9 cups and 9 plates.
Oh boy.
Topped with another 5 cups and another 5 plates for a total of 10 levels and more fucking cups and plates than I want to count.
Yeah.
Or total up.
Yeah.
I think that it would have been just fine. And obviously, I'm being pretty pedantic here and fucking counting cups and plates and levels of this sculpture thing. But I think it would have been okay if, you know, he just picked up 3 or 4 plates and stacked them up. Plates and cups. And I think it would have been even better because we see him being a bumbling fucking fool.
Yeah.
Is if he's trying to do this and really just like fucking throwing and breaking plates and cups and shit and then just being like, ta-da! And everybody's like, what the
tiny
fuck
tower.
are you doing? You know?
Yeah.
I think that would have been better. But
either way, it was not an enjoyable sequence for me.
No, it really wasn't. But I think since we're on this thing of Dave Filoni being an apologist for some things or giving us hints to other things, you know, that not all Toydarians are dirty slavers and other.
They're apparently humanitarians who knew, despite that fact that Wada owns slaves. So.
Yeah, and he makes the comment, mind tricks don't work on me, only money. I'm a Toydarian.
Yeah, I got nothing for you on that one.
But I'm sure that you have heard the theory about Jar Jar Binks being a Sith Lord.
Yeah, I've heard that, yeah.
I think this is proof.
No.
You don't think so?
No, and this definitely is hurting that theory. If you take only what's in the movies, and then extrapolate out from there, this scene or this episode of itself, no.
But how's he going to make this beautiful stack of cups and plates on a spinning, elevated, fucking floating table without using the Force, man?
No. I don't know. I have no explanation for it, but no. As to where extra cups come from, maybe, sure.
Because he was force grabbing fucking plates and cups from the kitchen.
Yeah. That just appeared out of nowhere? Yeah, no. Just, I got nothing. There's no explanation for this entire sequence other than they needed some weird reason to create this non-issue of sending off these supplies when they could have eaten anywhere else too. Like, if they knew they needed to do this and the king knew this, why would they go there?
Yeah, it's a bunch of buffoonery, and it doesn't even really make sense that they're covering up these 3 other ships. Like I said toward the beginning of the episode, one single ship can carry 6,613,868 pounds of fucking cargo.
Yeah.
So if this thing was fully packed, they have 3 empty ships land, because they're only supposed to take what they brought with them.
Take off with, yeah.
Then they're going to split this shit up among 3 ships that are all going to the same spot.
Yeah.
Why not just take the fucking ship? Like, if the
That
shit's already
had it.
If it's already on Bale's ship, fly that motherfucker over to Toydaria.
Oh, yeah.
But it sounds like they're going to, like, piggyback, right? That was why Bale went there. Like, he needs to get permission for these other ships to land on the planet. And then I would have thought, like, refuel or something like that. But Bale tells this clone trooper along the way, like, get that shit loaded up, buddy. And
yeah,
then you
go.
See,
like, Ryloth needs this right away. Go.
Then you see the obligatory 2 clones carrying a fucking box.
Yeah, yeah.
And
none of this makes any damn sense to me.
And so we will get to a point where we see whether or not this all fucking pays off and this shipment is received or not. And I've got more questions for you then.
Yeah. Well, okay, so let's skip over back to Ryloth and what's happening on Ryloth.
Okay. So on Ryloth, we've got some more battling going on, right?
More battling. Yeah. So we have the one valley path has been blocked off, so then the Separatist droid army is making their way down the last open valley.
Right.
The Twi'leks are getting on these blurgs, apparently.
Blurg.
And they're loading up all their shit. And they're making a run for it, you know. They're getting the children in the wagons and stuff.
Right.
Right. So then
they got their bologna sandwiches. They're heading down the Super Valley.
Yeah, they're getting their hiking boots on.
Right.
You know. So then Captain Keeley and Master Dai and the other troopers go to hold off the droids.
Right.
And then shit turns south. Yeah?
Yes.
Shit turns real bad. So like the clones are getting picked off of essentially, and then Captain Keeley even gets hit at some point. So then it's down to just Master Dai, who's like rolling shit around, and then like the droids at some point like stop to talk to Master Dai or something like that, right? Like they get distracted for a hot second.
I think because they pretty much fucking decimated everybody else, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they come in guns fucking blazing, and there's some serious battling going on, and clones are dropping off. There's some droids that get knocked out.
Yeah.
And
but then so like they stop for a second, which is enough time for Captain Keeley to like magically come back to life and start shooting again.
Yeah, he does not lose the will to live.
No.
And he sits back up and he gets a couple more rounds off.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe takes out like another droid or 2, and then the droids are like, fuck it, and just all balls to the wall.
Start going. Yeah.
And they start going to town.
Yep. So we get the last stand of Captain Keeley and Jedi Master Dai. Yeah.
Yes. And as his name could have told us at the beginning, he's gonna die.
Yep.
And he does.
The lightsaber drops to the ground. We see the hand falling, and that's it for those characters.
Right.
Yep.
That's sad. We met them, and they're gone.
And they're gone, just like that. That's it. That's all we got.
So we see some Twi'leks like getting away, right? They make it out of the valley on the other side of the ridge or whatever.
Yeah, whatever's on the other side of that. Yeah.
So Keeley and Dai sacrifice themselves for the town of Super Valley to triumph and live. And at that point, we see these 3 blockade runners fly by, and they drop 6 fucking escape pods.
Yep.
That's all the shit that they had.
Yep. And thank goodness they happened to land exactly where they needed them to land, too, on
Right.
the entire planet.
Which, well, I mean, that must be why these 3 blockade runners, like, broke atmosphere and, like, flew all the way down and then, like, shot the fucking escape pods out from, like, 3 stories up instead of, like, landing and fucking helping out or doing something and
Too
not
much.
just, you know, they could have done, like, a buzz-by and, like, fired that shit out of, you know, like, use the blockade runner to get past the blockade. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then fire the fucking escape pods out.
Yeah. No. Just gonna...
Or they could have just left all the shit on one fucking ship.
And delivered it properly instead
Right.
of
And
doing... Yeah.
I mean, Anakin did this, and where's the invisible pencil ship that we had way back in
Christophsis
Yeah.
region? Yeah, I got nothing for you on that one. Like, that's why I brought it up then. Like,
Right.
we had this invisible ship that then never gets seen again.
Right.
Like, where did it come from? Where did it go? Like,
Yeah. I think what happened is that somebody cloaked it and then fucking forgot where it was.
so they're waiting for somebody to literally run into it when they find it again.
Uh-huh.
There's no key fob that's just gonna, like, they can just hit the emergency button to see where
It's inside.
they left it in.
They
Okay.
left it inside.
So not only will they need somebody to magically find it, they'll need a, like, locksmith.
Yes.
Okay.
A space locksmith to find their invisible ship.
The ship, yeah. So anyway, like, that pretty much closes out the event on Ryloth, yeah? Like,
Yeah,
Cham,
that's the end of Ryloth. Like,
like,
these two
Cham is kind
dudes-
of like, oh, hey, like, this worked out great. Like,
yeah, he's
we have
like,
supplies.
yay, we got our 2 rotations worth of rations. Like,
yeah.
question 1, is a rotation a day or a year or what? It's a day,
I
right?
got nothing. Yeah, I was thinking a day or a week at most. Like,
How much do these
maybe a
fucking
month.
people eat if, like, one of those carriers can carry 6 million fucking pounds of food?
Yeah, I got nothing for you there. Just,
There's
it's
3
enough
of
to
them.
let them survive for the time being. Not forever, but enough.
Right.
That's all we got. That's all we need, right?
So
Cham's happy, so
I have 2 completely random notes, and then we can get back into the content of the shit and get this stuff wrapped up. Note number 1. Earlier in this episode, I said, remember that the clone officer whispers into Hippie Guy's ear?
yes.
I don't remember why. There's no payoff to that. I don't know
No.
why I said that. I felt I had a note on it, and I guess I didn't.
No, it happened. I noticed it happening, and then
I thought that it was like gonna come back, and we were gonna be like, "That's why the guy fucking whispered in his ear." Nope, I don't think that.
There's
happened.
nothing. No,
So sorry to let you guys down.
I got nothing for you there. Yeah.
And random note number 2, when I was looking into like how much cargo this particular ship can hold, Bale's ship can hold, it said 3,000 metric tons. So I was like, okay, Google, what is 3,000 metric tons? And what I found was an article for PETA or something that was following like a tuna ship on like this. It's like the largest tuna fishing ship in the world or some shit.
Yeah.
And they followed it for 1,000 miles over the course of 5 days. And in one run, it picked up 3,618,568 pounds of fish, which is the exact amount that the fucking blockade runner can hold.
Yeah.
So.
All right. So it's as big as a fishing ship in the Pacific, essentially.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's like 2.5 years worth of food for the typical Pacific Island nation.
Okay. But the
Ryloths go through that shit in fucking 2 rotations.
2 rotations, man. It's a lot to keep those, Twi'leks fed and the
I believe this thing is the Leiku.
the Leiku. That's what I was trying to get at. Yeah.
Yep.
The tendrils that come out.
Yes, they are Leiku.
The Leiku. Takes a
which
lot to keep that shit. Yeah.
Which are different than what the Togruta have.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because for the Twi'leks, for both of them, you can really fuck shit up if you hit at a Leiku, right?
That's a good question. I'll have to look into that and see what happens when you damage a Leiku.
Yeah, because from what I have read, I don't know if it's still canon or not. I believe they are sensual spots for the Twi'lek women or something like that.
That's weird.
Which is why also there's a lot of Twi'lek women sold into sex slavery and all that shit. So
I thought it was because they were good dancers.
it's a combination that they're good dancers and they tend to be really pretty, but then they also have high sensual,
and they dress like Watto.
Yeah, they open vest situation happening. So
very true.
Yeah, but for the Togruta, I'm not sure if most of those same rules apply.
I know that I looked into it, and they're not Leiku. There's something else, and I don't remember what they're called.
Yeah.
And they do serve a function, but I don't remember what that is either.
Yeah.
So I will look into that, and I will get back to you.
Yeah. All right.
So, to wrap up anything that happens in this episode, it's basically nothing important.
Lot Dog finds out. He finds out that the thing goes off, and then they try to tell him, well, if you want to file a complaint, go tell the Senate. And he's like, well, it takes years for anything to happen in the Senate, and then walks away angry, and that's it.
Right.
And then
Bail Organa might as well wink and give him a fucking "hey, buddy" type deal.
The finger gun situation.
The finger gun.
Yeah. And then so Bail is standing there, and then King Katuunko tells Bail that he's going to reconsider Toydaria's position of neutrality, essentially. Yeah.
Yep.
And then Bail is like, "Great, thank you, awesome." And then
yeah, and he
music.
says "Hey, I'll let Yoda know that you're second guessing your neutralness,
yeah,
or whatever."
Yeah.
So, yep, that's it.
Yep.
Bail says, "Coolio, I'll send Yoda. Peace out."
And then cue loud music. Yeah.
Cue loud music, and then the credits come up, and
then Kevin and I are both confused about what just happened. I think I don't.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. What? Go ahead. Let's wrap this up. What do you? So overall, now that we have spent 90 minutes discussing this.
Okay, so overall,
general feelings.
Thumbs up, thumbs down, right?
Yeah, go for it.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, sure.
I gave this a thumbs up.
Okay.
Yeah. So, in going through and preparing for this episode, I watched the first half of it, and then I got super tired and I went to sleep. Yeah. And then I came back to it a couple days later, and I watched the full thing. And after watching just the first half, I was like, this fucking episode is bullshit.
Yeah.
For various reasons. Honestly, the Jar Jar shenanigans don't bother me at all. Mm-hmm. But it was some of the other shit where it really felt like the Clone Wars team was trying to undo some things that were complaints from other stories, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I was not on board. Going back and watching it all the way through,
yeah,
those things bothered me less, and the cool things about the episode I liked more than the stuff that I didn't. Therefore, we get a thumbs up on this one for me.
Okay.
So my note was, watched half and came back equals bad. Watched full equals good.
Yeah. Okay.
So what do you got? How are you feeling about this today?
I am pretty much right there with you. I am still going to give this a thumbs up. But it's, again, just barely.
Right.
You know,
there's definitely some shit that has no business being in this episode.
Oh, there's so many like logical issues and stuff like that.
But the core of what's going on Ryloth is good. You know, you got this Jedi that is doing what a Jedi should be doing, and some clones that are doing what the clones should do, and they're there on the front line, and they're there to protect these fucking people and help them accomplish their goals. Mm-hmm. They're fighting for this planet. They've got no connection here. The reason they're doing it is because the reason Dai and Keeley are doing what they're doing is because it's what's right and it's what needs to be done.
Yeah, absolutely.
And they end up losing their lives over it.
Yeah, like if anything, having watched this many in such quick succession here, the Ryloth stuff to me is kind of boring, honestly. Like the battles, I'm getting battled out. You know, I don't know what else there would be to do. I get it's the Clone Wars, you know?
Right.
Once we get to the last stand section, then that definitely stands out, right?
Right.
Because based on my first viewing, I had from that until now, I had no memory of this episode whatsoever.
Yeah.
So I completely forgot about Master Dai existing, and then therefore I forgot about him dying, right?
Right.
Because he only lasts this episode. Like, yeah.
I forgot that Bail went to Toydaria.
Mm-hmm.
I remembered that Jar Jar made an appearance several times in this series.
Yeah.
I knew that Bail was in the series as well. I knew that Toydaria was a thing that comes up. But I did not know all three of those things happened together.
In this one episode, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, so basically, like, even with all my complaints, the overall episode was still entertaining enough, you know.
Mm-hmm.
The plot A, plot B playing off of each other, I think, worked really well.
Mm.
And just getting to see Bail do his thing, despite the fact that Jar Jar kind of fucks shit up, you know.
Right.
To some degree. Like, those are... There are some big annoyances, but like I said, like it's just a barely, like, we're talking like 51% good to 49% annoyant stuff, right?
51 still 51.
Exactly. So like I'm just tilting up where, like, after I watched this episode, I really was just like, I mean, it didn't bother me that much. Like we're getting into it and we're really nitpicking some stuff here, but after watching it, I had no major complaints, really. You know, like it's a 22-minute episode. It just played. It didn't offend me terribly, you know. So
right,
which I guess is the best praise I could give to it at this point. You know, like, you know, thumbs up. It didn't offend me, right?
It did not suck horribly.
Yeah. So yeah, it was still entertaining enough, and it just kind of seeing the Toydarians also doing their thing and seeing King Katuunko was fun, you know. So yeah, it's overall it's a not terrible episode. Let's put it that way.
Well, there you have it, listeners. Lorenzo is on a 2-week positive streak.
I know. It's so weird.
We will have to see what's going to happen next week.
We do have to recall that these are both season 3 episodes. We did jump very far forward into the production line of things, so
that is true. And then, so that being said, next week we're jumping almost all the way back to the beginning,
basically. Yeah.
To season 1, episode 1, with episode titled Ambush.
Yep.
So
we're getting
next week we're going to find out what the next step in the Clone Wars is, and we're going to see if Lorenzo is going to keep this positive streak alive.
We'll see. All right. Anything else?
That's all I got for now. So,
right. Just our final shout outs. If you need to reach us, we have Facebook at Not the Nerds Podcast, Twitter and Instagram at Not the Nerds. Our email, if you want to email us, is notthenerdspodcast@gmail.com.
Correct.
Yeah. And then, Kevin, if you have the information, if you want to give our weekly shout out to Lindsay, who made our our jingle that appears at the beginning and end of each episode.
Yep, you can find her on the internet.
Email, right?
Yeah, it's email.
Yeah.
That's strange fantasy music at gmail.com. And then
that one, yes.
Kevin, our graphic artist, is over on Twitter at They Call Me K-Dub.
Yep. So thank you to them. Again, the music is working out epically, so I think.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. So thanks to them, and then thanks to you guys for listening. Lorenzo, thanks to you for sitting down with me today and talking the Clone Wars.
Yeah. Good times. All right. Talk to you next week.
We'll see you next week.
Bye, everybody.